possible action on the fire department union change MOU, consideration and possible actions on a variety of temporary mooring, floats, rafts, and dark permits for residents, consideration and possible action on the Riverlands Phase 2, consideration and possible action on the appointment of Nate Lane as a regular member of the Conservation Commission, consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Eric Gasper to the Conservation Commission, consideration and possible action on acceptance of the resignation of Roy Bishop from the Conservation Commission, consideration and possible action on the authorization of the town administrator to sign the addendum for the Cedar Lake Recreation Area ADA project from McClure Engineering in the amount of $10,000, consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Deborah Steinberg to the Council on Aging, consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Joyce Bradley to the Council on Aging. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Joyce Bradley to the Council on Aging. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Linda Deb to the Council on Aging. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Alfred Bernard to the Cable Advisory Committee. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Peter Champagne to the Tourist Association. Consideration and possible action on authorizing Robin Grimm to carry over 155 hours from FY25 to FY26. Consideration and possible action on performance merit increase for the town administrator. Consideration and possible action on issuance of a taxi cab livery license for Charles River Service Incorporated, driver Gavin White. Consideration and possible action on a hawker and peddler application for Dennis F. Walsh for farm stand at Empire Village parking lot on Route 20 for the sale of fresh, farm fresh fruits and vegetables. Consideration and possible action on appointment and appropriate grade for ILL and Adult Services Assistant to ILL and Technology Library. Consideration and possible action on appointment and appropriate grade for Library Assistant to Library Services Specialist. Consideration and possible action on updated job description for Adult and YA Librarian, Old business, Town Administrators Review, new business, correspondence, approval of minutes, Citizens Forum, and then to an executive session from which we will likely adjourn. So with that, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible. Thank you. So for a moment of silence, this was quite a weekend between what occurred in the Middle East, between all of the protests and the assassination of two public leaders in Minnesota. I just would ask everybody to just think about what we mean to each other, that our community is much broader than America. It's all of each other. It's every single person. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. And there's simply no place for a public servant to ever be killed. And it is, you're all here tonight. This is a form of public service. All of our firefighters in the back, that's public service. And the idea that we are somehow so distinct from each other that someone needs to be brutally murdered is just not acceptable. So please consider that and take a moment of silence. Thank you. Mary Lou, any public service announcements?
None here.
Mary Blanchard?
No.
I have none. Moving to department reports from Recreation. All right, get going.
So you've got a very full agenda, so I'm going to give you some bullet points, and you can feel free to loop back on anything to ask any specifics. So I'm pretty much just going to go through what's gone on recently, what's going on now, and what's coming up in the near future. In the past couple months, we've had our spring bonfire, which was fairly well attended. It was kind of a cold, rainy, windy day, but still was a good time. We had our New York City bus trip 2 weekends ago, which is, again, the weather was fairly nice for New York. And we also just ran our first ever Home Alone class, geared towards like 4th through 6th graders that maybe left home alone for the first time over the summer, just how to be home alone safely. Everybody who was in the class liked it, and then we're probably going to be running that maybe twice a year. It's a very valuable service for those individuals.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, they taught self-defense. They taught street smart. So if you're getting off the bus and walking to your house, how to deal with all that, and kitchen safety, first aid, what to do if you call 911. Just everything that as adults we theoretically know, but you don't think about until you need to do it. And so hopefully they learn, in a classroom instead of because of experience. Ongoing things that we've got right now, farmers market started earlier this month. They've been going well, very well attended. This past weekend was a little bit lighter, which is traditional for Father's Day weekend. If people don't bring their fathers to the farmers market. We are looking at doing a couple pop-up like artisan markets just as a way to try to draw more people. So the last Sunday of each month, we'll have more like the craft people, the makers, have a few extra booths set up kind of in the middle. Again, just to try to draw more people out and give some other people an opportunity to be involved. We've got our Tennis in the Parks program going on that's run through U.S. Tennis Association. They're wrapping up the spring session and about to start the summer one in a couple weeks. And that was well attended, except for the adults one. The adults didn't sign up as much this time, so any adults out there watching this, sign up for tennis. Concerts on the Common have again started. Good attendance on the first one, and obviously we're every Thursday now until basically the end of August. I think the last time I was here, it was when we had gotten the approval for the new recreation software. That is going well. It's letting us track how the enrollment's going for the programs. It's giving us the ability to send out email blasts to people, specifically who signed up for things. So we're not just generically emailing. It's we're able to target. If you signed up for something, we can email you about that thing specifically. So that's going good. Upcoming things this Friday, we have the block party, the end of school, beginning of summer kind of kickoff block party. So we're looking forward to that and hoping the weather holds out for us. Summer rec program starts Monday, so a week from today, and we've got fairly good enrollment on that. So we're looking at least similar numbers to last year's start time. So that's again a good thing. In July, we've got our Woosocks Sturbridge takeover. That's up on the website, and we've started marketing that on Facebook. So I think last year we had about 270 people who went. So we're hoping to beat that this year. And then we're also looking at running maybe a fall bus trip somewhere more local. We're looking at like the Connecticut Renaissance Fair. It's a fairly inexpensive. You can take out a family of 4 for probably under $100. So and it's a nice day. So looking at trying to do a family trip like that. And then already planning for the fall bonfire. So, it's recreation in a big nutshell.
All right, questions from the board?
So you say the numbers are pretty much the same for the summer
For the summer, yes. And I will put the kind of the major caveat on that of without the software last year, I don't really know when the registration numbers came in. What I do have is the attendance list from the first day, how many names were on that list. And so I can compare, assuming that everybody on that list was people who pre-registered. So comparing those to where we're at now, we're at about the same. Again, though, without software last year, I have no idea if those people all registered the day before or months in advance. So.
Thank you.
All right, I have nothing further, so I guess
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Robin, if you could please give us your update.
Very quickly, you have the 2 weekly wrap-up memos, and then generally on the bi-weekly, Bates has indicated the work should be done June 23rd for beautification on those 3 locations that we have. So we should see major work on June 23rd. Mutilda officially moved to her new stop, and she is now at the village getting ready for the pre-walk-through cow parade. We met with DOT regarding ADA upgrades at the crosswalk on Route 20 near McNutt's. So you will be in the Blackington building, that area over there. So it looks like within the next year, I'm hoping, we will see handicap accessible crosswalk there. and some changes just in the way that is. So people are gonna have to be a little patient because, again, construction on Route 20 is a pain. But this one I think will be well worth it because it's really a very unsafe place to cross, particularly for people with handicap issues. Spoke with DOT regarding adopt spots, medium beautification, and general maintenance. They did do some maintenance. They have mowed a bit over there. They will not let me put flower barrels at all. I did ask about 131 and 20, the concrete median there, if there was anything. They said no. However, they did put me in touch with their adopt-a-spot person. We could potentially look to do, for example, the median in front of the state police barracks. We could do like loam and mulch and flower beds down there, perennials that we don't have to do a ton of maintenance on. So I will continue to work with them because I know the board really wants to work on some form of beautification along that strip. And then just, we did receive a follow-up from the school department and committee indicating that they want to have a meeting with myself, the school committee chair. It'll be a daytime meeting initially to start based on these questions of facilities use. And I will bring back to the board whatever comes of that. And then if the board still wants to do a follow-up and bring committee members in. But since they want to go this route first, as long as our board's okay with that, we'll go this route first. Let me meet with them and see what everybody has to say. And that is enough for me today because there's nothing else to talk about.
Okay, great. Any questions, Rob? Okay. All right, moving on to action items, Chief. We are considering and possibly acting on the ratification of the MOU with our fire local. Chief, could you just give an update of
Sure.
what's basically going on?
Yeah, the firefighters currently work a 48-hour per week schedule. This agreement will allow that change to go into effect so that they will, moving forward from January 1st of 2026, change to a 42-hour work week. That will allow us to split from the current 3-group system that we have now to and move into a 4-group system, which will increase operations and efficiency and provide for a better work-life balance for the individuals.
So just for the crowd, it is a relatively slight additional cost with a better quality of life, control of forcing and overtime, and something that both the command staff and the union are behind, and it seems to make sense to all of us. So unless there's any further discussion, maybe we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? All right, all those in favor? Great, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. So we have a host of temporary moorings, floats, raft, and dock permit on here. I know that the one that is on our agenda has some conversation that will be occurring for it. That's the one at 288 B Clark Road Extension, but I'm going to hold on that for a minute. Items E through Q, which include the temporary moorings, floats, raft, and dock permits for 2025 for Brian and Sarah Oxman, Ken and Chuck Boss, if I'm saying that right, Amanda Hopkins, Helen Neidhart, David Park, Adam Tominski, Vernon and Catherine Eddington, David Marshall, Peter Zukas, Thomas Watterson, Ann Briggs, Chad Gibson, and David and Lise Travinsky. I do not think I have any issues with them unless there's a point, Mary or Mary Lou. So just in the interest of saving people time, I'm just going to move that the listed temporary moorings, float, rafts, and dock permits for those individuals at the listed address be approved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, just 2 seconds. And all those in favor? Great, so those are resolved, all that. So those are resolved. What's up? Yes.
My last name is Watson.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. My eyes get a little blurry for a while of this.
Doctor.
What's that?
Doctor Watson.
Okay, so moving on to B, consideration and possible action on the issuance of a temporary moorings, floats, rafts, and dock permit for 2025 to John Mastroni of 288B Clark Road Extension. I understand there was some conversation about this in my absence.
Yeah, so, Selectman Kavitsky went out to the site. What he indicated to me was basically from what he could see, you know, without an actual drawn plan, it's hard to sort of delineate where the property lines are certainly. So what he requested was that Mr. Mastriani present basically his version of where his property is and where the dock goes. And at this point, our only role is to determine if the dock itself complies, and if there's any variance, is it a variance that's in the same way that other variances have been? So is it a similar dock to what has been approved right before? So that's the role of the board tonight. Any question that was being discussed as to where on the property line it is not really the purview of the board. The property line question is not the purview of the board. As long as the drawing appears that it is within the property line, that's the role of the board.
Okay, so so if I'm understanding that correctly, what you're saying is that if on the application being presented, it looks like a viable dock or a dock that we would give a temporary dock that we would give a variance to, then that is kind of the role of the conversation. And whether or not it's actually on the correct boundary line is a matter for the landowners.
Yes.
Okay, does that make sense to
Yeah.
you guys? Okay.
And you should have the drawings, I think, in your packet. Do they have the drawings, Francis?
We should, yeah. We did. I don't know if we
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you have the original.
What's the size of the dock? It's hard to see.
You might want Mr. Mastriani to come up here.
Mr. Restaurant, you just come and let us know what the.
The dock is beyond the water line. It's 3 10-foot sections in length, so it's a total of 4 10-foot, 4 by 10 sections, so it's 160 square feet beyond the water line. There's one section that makes the ease of access that goes over a boulder onto our property, and that's another one section, that's another 4 by 10 section.
That's 40 square feet. So it comes out to about 200.
200, but that's over the water line. In the water is 160. All the removable dock sections together is 200.
Okay, questions from the board? Comments, Mary? Okay, well, do we have a motion?
Yeah.
It's not a public hearing. I had a specific question for the applicant, but.
We can't say anything?
No, I mean, this isn't so the framing of this, I'm not trying to be difficult, but we've been instructed, what the lead off point there is that this isn't within our, other than reviewing it as we review our normal applicants, if it comes to a boundary issue, which is what I
Well,
understand.
there is a boundary issue.
That's what I'm saying, and that is what
There is still a boundary issue, that's what I want to.
I know, and that is the town has has the harbor master,
Yeah.
has a very specific functionality when it comes to this conversation. And so our interpretation of our powers is that we have to apply take action based upon the permit presented to see what's within either our discretion or lack thereof.
Yeah, but there's an agreement by the courts, a sales agreement, that his dock is not supposed to be any wider than 5 feet.
He's got a big
And he's
section
got an
of land.
8-foot section, which takes it over
And
our
that
property.
is unfortunately going to matter for the either district or Superior Court of Massachusetts. It's just not the town's issue. I apologize. I understand that
So you're granting it.
Yeah, well, we're
Now-
gonna,
Can I ask a question about docks?
no, actually, we're not gonna we're not gonna engage further on this particular
No,
issue,
no,
because it's
I
not
mean-
within the scale of our authority. I understand there's a civil dispute, and I'm not trying to be
It's been
difficult.
solved though, supposedly.
But this is the problem, is that that's the very word that this is where I have to be difficult here, and I don't enjoy it, because I don't, you know.
All right, let me
I-
ask you something.
No.
No, yeah, what water in front of your property, how much of that is yours?
What, water?
Water.
In front of my property?
In front of the property?
The-
She owns the property,
Like,
say 25
say
feet.
Nathan next door, he doesn't want that in his
You're
property.
gonna,
In
so
his
I'm
water.
gonna call this to order right now. I understand your frustration. I'm not trying to be difficult or dismissive of your concerns. But what I am gonna say is that I'm saying that we have an interpretation of what our role in this dispute is. And there's a larger argument that is for the courts. And I get your frustration. I'm sorry that I'm not giving you, the relief.
Chase went out there and he seen when he asked what would be sufficient, I told him, they didn't do a goddamn thing.
Okay, we understand that, but this isn't, I understand the frustration, but it's not the role we play in this, and I apologize for it.
So you shouldn't
So
get
why do you have rules and regulations?
Well, at this point, I'm gonna,
Like it's
Exactly.
a 40-foot dock and you tell us 25.
going,
double on the end.
so again, I understand the point. We're talking about, we're gonna actually go back to talking about the scale of it, and that's, I appreciate your time, but that's the end of this conversation, as it goes. Understood?
Yeah.
All right. So, back to the board. What, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the permit for John Mastriani, 288B Clark Road Extension.
Second.
And as a point of discussion, I would suggest that you have a conversation with your neighbors to resolve their concerns before this goes any further, because perhaps in the next year we will not have the same position. Understood?
Oh, yeah, we're estimating.
All right, I will, all those in favor? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
For nothing.
Okay, we are moving on to consideration possible action on River Plans Phase 2.
Nate's got it today.
How you doing,
I
Nate?
thought we had a good one coming.
Yeah, one of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, here on behalf of the Trails Committee, Nate Lane, we have a refined version of Phase 2 of the Riverlands property that we've been circulating, and we're here tonight to bring the select board up to speed with where that's at. So, what I want to focus on.
Just hold on a second, Nate.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Gloves out.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
No problem at all. So there have been a couple proposed versions of Phase 2 of the Riverlands property here in town. One in 2022, one in 2023. We have a refined version based on efforts of the Trails Committee and feedback that we've received about managing the property, which we're looking to move forward with. We don't need to go through every slide. I think the one I'd like to focus on is, it's slide 7, but specifically with the Phase 2 map. I think that's the best area to spend our time. This property for the town is meant to expand access to the Quinnebog, bring additional accessible trails into town, have purpose-built mountain biking flow trails or machine-built downhill trails. That's how the property is used today. And in time, the intention is to complete the section of the Grand Trunk Trail between Stallion Hill Road and Holland Road. So Phase 2 in what is being proposed is slightly modified from what you've seen before because we wanted to have a plan to accomplish those goals but decrease our environmental impact of the additional trails going on the property. So what you see in the lighter color there is what's there today, with flow 1, 2, and 3, along with the Grand Trunk Trail, Riverwalk, and the Cistern Climbing Trail up in elevation on the property. Phase 2 is focused on 4 additional flow trails, one wider access trail that we're calling the Gully Trail for now because it's following the natural drainage that's on that side of the property, and an extension of the cistern from the top of the property. So it's really a connection between Stallion Hill and Holland Road on the low side and the high side. What is not in this phase is the continuation of the Grand Trunk. That is not what we're discussing today. A couple weeks back, we did a preview with the Conservation Commission. Lauren is here if there are any questions about that. It was decided to, based on the select board review, then move this on to OPACUM for feedback in their 45-day review window. So that would be the next step. Between Concom and the select board this evening, I have also reviewed with our chief of police, our deputy chief of police, and I believe it was also forwarded to Chief Grosso at the fire department as well. I spoke to Deputy Chief Lombardi, reviewed the plan in detail, answered any questions. He relayed that on to Chief Desert, who also confirmed his support in writing. So we're clear on first responder access based on this plan, and they had no concerns. Okay. We have received some feedback on prior proposals. My intention is to offer to present this plan to the board at OPACUM and let them know how we're modifying the plan based on some of the feedback we've had, based on also what's in the CR, the conservation restriction, the legal document around this property. We believe it's a strong proposal that honors the CR and the intention of the property. So we're looking for the select board support to move it forward in that process. And I think it's your choice as to whether you would give it a vote to move it forward to OPACUM review or a full vote on the proposal, in which we would then be subject to the Conservation Commission's feedback after the OPACUM review. I think that's at the discretion of the select board, because I'm happy to come back and share any and all feedback that we've received after that 45-day window here as well. But I don't know if that's necessary.
Yeah, I don't know what the board thinks, but I don't want to take up your time with an extra step if you're going to opaque conservation anyway.
You get to know a lot of people in these processes.
Yeah. So, does the board have any questions for Nate? Okay, and so
I will call it out for the public as well that this is funded as far as labor and materials, as far as existing earmarked funds within the Trails Committee.
Okay, so would you like, so the request here is for us to approve the proposal subject to OPACUM and conservation review, is that which it basically exists anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's appropriate.
All right.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion from the board?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. All right, let's get you out. Well, hold on a second. Let's do that.
Yeah, the next one too.
Yeah, so, all right, and then also consideration and possible action on appointing Nate as a regular member of the Conservation Commission for a term to expire in June 30th, 2028. I think we actually have to accept the resignation first. I will move to accept the resignation of Roy Bishop from the Conservation Commission effective June 30th, 2025. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank Roy for his service. All right, now back to E for Nate. I think you're already the auxiliary member?
Alternate member, correct. Yep.
Any questions from the board for Nate? All right, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to appoint Nate Lane as a regular member of the Conservation Commission for a term to expire June 30th, 2028.
Great, we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great, thanks Nate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in. All right, yeah, no, we're at R. I'm gonna make, and this is ours, reappointment of Eric Gasper to the Conservation Commission for a term to expire June 29th, 2028. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. Okay, we are moving up to T. Consideration and possible action on the authorization of the town administrator to sign the addendum for the Cedar Lake Recreation Area ADA project from McClure Engineering in the amount of $10,000.
So he had just continued with McClure's in professional services. This was just a little further work that they had to do on the project. So it's a final, it's still within the budget for the project.
What is the addendum though?
Professional services to oversee the construction end of it. We need them.
Oh,
out
no,
there
I
on
know, but
site.
what is the little
Oh,
add?
10,000. It's just literally the professional services, because there was no professional services, engineering and design and permitting, but they hadn't put into the contract the professional services end of it, and we have really needed them to oversee the project, so.
Manager matters.
Yep, make sure everything's,
Except
Does that make sense, Mary?
Yeah, I just was curious
Yeah,
what was
it's a good
contained in the addendum.
All right, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to authorize the town administrator to sign the addendum for the Cedar Lake Recreation Area ADA project from McClure Engineering in the amount of $10,000.
Do we have a second?
second,
All those in favor? Great. All right, we have 3 council on aging, so I'm going to combine those unless someone has an objection. To consider and possibly act on the reappointment of Deborah Steinberg to the Council on Aging Committee for a term to expire June 29th, 2028. Reappointment of Joyce Bradley to the Council on Aging for a committee for a term to expire June 29th, 2028. And consideration and possible action on the appointment of Linda Debbie to the Council on Aging for committee for a term to begin June 29th, 2025 and expire June 29th, 2028. Any questions, thoughts? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
second,
All those in favor? Great. Oh, sure, yeah, I can get that done. Good, thank you for telling me that. I'm going to jump ahead to the consideration and possible action on issuance of a taxi cab livery license for Charles River Service Incorporated, driver Gavin.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
All right, I think everything was in order here, right, Roland?
yep.
Any questions for Mr. White? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to issue a taxi cab delivery license for Charles River Service Inc., driver Gavin White.
second.
Second, all those in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Oh, yeah. I drive for a dealership too, so. Thank you.
I assumed as much based on the shirt. All right. Okay. And then we are on to consideration of possible action on the reappointment of Alfred Menard to the Cable Advisory Committee for a term to expire June 6, 2028.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thanks, Tim. Consideration of possible action on the reappointment of Peter Champagne to the Tourist Association for a term to expire June 30th, 2028.
So moved.
We have a second. All those in favor? Great. Okay, so first of all, consideration of possible action on authorizing Robin to carry over 155 hours from FY25 to FY26.
It'll probably be a little less than that, so I'll take a few more before July 1st, but I just wanted it up to that amount, which is I think my current amount, so it'll be less than that.
Do we have any questions or concerns from the board? All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Thank you.
All in favor? Great. All right, moving to double A, which is consideration of possible action on performance merit increase for the town administrator. So there's kind of 2 pieces of this, which is one is the TA review and performance evaluations. I now have all the materials needed to do that. I believe that everybody met standards and there was a budget item on for basically the end of this fiscal year, right?
July 1st.
Yeah, so for our beginning of the next, that we have to make a decision on tonight, is that right?
Yes.
All right, so what is the merit increase you're seeking?
So the non-union, the base 2.75, which I get by my contract, and then the merit that my merit staff gets is up to 3%.
Okay.
So
And we
it's
have,
5.75, which is budgeted if you would choose to get that. We do have enough in the budget for that.
Okay. What is the board's pleasure and thoughts?
I'm happy to give Robin the 3%. I think she's doing a good job, and we budgeted for it, and I don't, based on my own personal review of her, I think that she's, doing a very good job. I mean, nobody's perfect, like I said, nobody's God, but I think that she's certainly worth her extra 3%, so.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's fair. Okay, Mary, do you have any answer?
No, but what was the total?
5.75.
And then we'll have more, the formal paperwork will review the more particular items or Wilshire growth or Williams, Harry's achievement.
On July,
Yeah.
yes, because that has to be.
Yeah, so, all right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we grant our town administrator a total of 5.75 increase, performance merit, and by contract.
Okay. Great, all those in favor?
Thank you all, appreciate continued support.
All right, moving on. All right, I already did the driver one. CC, consideration and possible action on a hawker and peddler application for Dennis F. Walsh for farm stand in Empire Village parking lot on Route 20 for the sale of farm fresh fruits and vegetables.
So moved.
All right, I'll second that. All those in favor?
That's when I know it's summertime. That's the corn on the cob, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody waits for that.
Yes.
It's delicious, and they have delicious pies too.
Oh, well.
All right. Order. All right. Moving on to the double D, consideration and possible action on position inappropriate grade for ILL and adult service assistant to IL and technology librarians.
So these three positions were proposed by Becky with the support of the Library Board of Trustees to personnel. They were voted 3, 1, and 1. Approved for 2 of the 3, and the third was 4 and 1 abstaining.
Okay, so
Excuse me,
it's
2, 1, and 1.
2,
and then, yeah.
1, and 1.
Yeah.
And then you said 3, 1, and 1.
The last one was simply, 3 and 1. 3 and an abstention.
3 and an abstention. Okay, so
Yeah.
the first one, the position and appropriate grade for IL and adult service assistant to IL and technology librarian was 2 to 1 to 1.
Yeah, and Becky had indicated this really reflects what the job has been doing. The library's IT platform is they stand on a different platform than we do. They have a statewide platform. This person deals with all of their computers over there and that platform. And Jeremy handles our network, and there's some interface of that, but this position has been doing that. And there was some discussion in personnel over whether that's Jeremy's role or not. I don't envision that as Jeremy's role. It is a separate, it's a software update and software monitoring. So that was where some of the, and Mary can speak to it if she would, certainly, but that's where some of the discussion was in personnel about whether or not that's a IT function under the town or supplemental to the town. That has been being done that way right along with that under the library. And this simply reflects what that position has been doing, and then the regrading of that position to reflect that. And with the board and Becky.
Do you guys want to speak on it?
We certainly can.
Yeah, just if you want to go briefly, just so that just don't yell at me.
I think Robin hit all the highlights.
Okay, so it's basically just a more accurate reflection of that which is occurring.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Jeremy does, I would say probably about 20% of our IT currently. And this position has been doing the other 80% all along. Jeremy, when I talked to him the other day, said that in his estimation, the library in a year takes about 10% of his total time. So in his estimation, it's very small. And that's because we have this position that's doing all this.
Great questions, thoughts, concerns from the board?
Not really. How long has this person been doing these duties and not in this grade level? Like, why this year? I'm just curious.
So this year it became really apparent because we are making a shift to a new website. And also we have new databases and things that are coming on board. And all of this fell to this one person. And it became very apparent that this was the person who was responsible for doing all these things. And that position is the only one in the library that really does that. So that's why now.
If I can piggyback, we were trying to wait until I did the whole reclassification, which I, talked about doing, but because they needed to get this rolling and wanted to get it done before July 1st, it just couldn't wait. I didn't want to keep regrading things as I'm getting ready to do a new classification, but this one was so far off base for so long at this point that I just didn't want the library to be held up.
Yeah, the other timing part has to do with a retirement that's happening in July. And so and that's actually the last one. Cheryl Zalazzo is retiring after decades at the library. And that position the job description needed to be redone. And in looking at that, we found that the next two also needed to be redone. So that's kind of also the why now.
Brought everything right up to having to be more immediate.
I would add that, it's with the person who's been doing the work that is now trying to be written into the position. As a trustee volunteer, I first started working with her on some library tech specific projects during the pandemic. So at least 5 years she's been working on some of these activities and platforms and tools that the library uses for its activities. So.
And if I may, I think one of the things that at least stands out to me is the town hall computers are kind of employee-based and between employees, where the libraries is just, it's a whole foreign thing. It's totally different than the town hall ones. There's a little part that goes together, I imagine, but if you've ever taken out a book, on Libby, the downloaded a book or gone on their resources, gotten consumer reports from them, borrowed a book from another library, it's vast and it's nothing like the one here. So I think Jeremy does a lot of the stuff like with the physical. I don't know that much, as you can tell, but the physical as opposed to all the rest, which is what we're really talking about.
Okay, great. Anything else from the board?
No, I had brought up when we discussed it at personnel that I think Jamie ought to be handling.
Me?
No.
I've got enough on my plate.
You can
But Jeremy, yeah.
you know that, that Jeremy is, our IT person, and he should be doing more of it, You say it's different.
Can I make a comment to that? Oh, sorry. Sure.
It may be different, but I firmly believe, we just regraded and, gave Jeremy a new title and everything else. And I think he ought to be doing the work.
It seems, so you're
So my comment was that in addition to being a trustee, I am also a professional librarian that's worked with public libraries, academic libraries, and not-for-profits, including library technology companies. And while, yes, and I've also worked with Jeremy, helping set up a cloud account or doing this or that, library technology is very distinctive, and in larger municipalities, small municipalities as well, and in academia, it's very common to have library IT and your IT teams working together, the way that Jeremy is already doing that with the library. It is a specialization that people often get graduate or additional professional certifications to work in, and I don't really believe it's fair to Jeremy, who did not take a position to be a library IT specialist, to take on the burden of a whole nother career.
So I think that Mary's point is that, we've just increased Jeremy's functionality, and she thinks that it would seem likely that that would be be reasonable for him to take over. And what you're saying is that the nature of running catalog systems, research systems, larger, different distinct software suites that are open to the public is a different skill set. So
Can I ask a couple of questions?
oh, sure, first.
What was, I know Mary, I can appreciate what she's saying. What was the vote of the personnel committee?
2, 1, and 1.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said that too. I was thinking that was the trustees.
The one was an abstention, but it was over format of the document. It had nothing to do with the content.
I'm going to defer to the judgment of, people who know a lot more about library technology than myself, which is Becky and the library trustees. But I'm just curious the timing of this. Why didn't this come up when we were we just finished the budget and we just had town meeting? And I guess this really isn't addressed to you as much as our TA. I'm just curious, when we did Jeremy, why didn't we do it all together? Because is the money in our budget now for this new position?
Oh, this is a position we already have.
No,
It's a
I know.
slight upgrade, but yes, there is money
But I think the question is.
But why it didn't come up is Jeremy's change in status had nothing to do with IT. Jeremy's change in status had to do with taking on facilities.
Right, no, I get
So
that.
we were not even looking at changing or increasing
But I
his
think
IT.
that's not the question. I think your question is why are we doing this right now?
Correct.
This has been going on for some time.
Right.
And also, why not before when we did our budget just a few months ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had submitted these to Robin in November to be looked at. And I know that Robin had said that she was interested in doing departments all at one time. But for these three, because we have that retirement, it really needed to be addressed sooner than later.
You wouldn't have even been getting this yet because I really wanted to do it as part of the whole reclassification, which is nowhere near ready.
Sure.
It would not have been ready
But
before.
because of change in
It's the
personnel.
retirement
Right.
prompted it. And that, exactly. So we pushed this one ahead of schedule. It's not behind schedule, it's actually ahead of schedule.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, with all of that, unless somebody has another comment, do we have a motion?
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well,
Can we do D, D, E, E, and FF together?
No, we can do them separately.
Okay.
For the first motion would be to approve the change in position and grade for ILL and Adult Services Assistant to IL Technology Library.
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor? Those against? And then the next one is consideration and possible action on position and appropriate grade for library assistant to library services specialist.
So this one was moving into a grade 3, if I recall?
Yes, from 2 to 10.
All did score it as a 3. It had a 2, 1, and 1.
So what's going on with this?
So this was actually a position that existed before the last classification was done. And then when the classification was done, this position and what we called our Sunday librarians all got lumped into the circulation assistants. But this actually is a separate position. It's responsible for all of the jobs that the circulation assistants do, and in addition is responsible for running story time once a week, does budgeting, responsible for purchasing media, and additional duties. So this is kind of like going back to almost what it was before. I think before it was called children's assistant or something like that.
And this again is one of the reasons that sort of prompted the whole need for the reclassification to get done anyway, but because of the retirement, this all. But clearly when it scored much higher than what it had been.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it had scored much higher when
Than what it was originally in the book.
Do we have just a straight library assistant when we change this position to a services specialist?
Correct. So we currently have I think it's something like 12.
Okay, and this person is
library assistants.
distinguishable because of added duties and
Correct.
responsibilities that the other 12 don't have.
Right, yep. And it's just one of the 12.
One person,
Okay.
one position, I should say.
Any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the position appropriate grade for library assistant to library services specialist.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those against? All right, so it's 3-1.
Can I just make a comment? It doesn't really just, it kind of pertains to classifications.
Well, you want to do that in?
Oh, I can do it under old business,
Yeah,
if
let's talk
that's
about that.
better.
So we
Okay,
don't
that's
have
fine.
fun with everybody else. I was gonna do the same.
Okay.
All right, moving on to FF, consideration and possible action on updated job description for adult and YA library. What's going on?
This was just a cleanup on the job description.
Yep, just an update. The job descriptions hadn't really been looked at since 2017.
This is a 3-0-1 vote.
Okay. And so do we have any questions or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the updated job description for adult and YA librarian.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right, Soro. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so going to old business. We already discussed the TA's review. We can have further conversation about that if we need it, but I'll have an updated summarize with a week for everybody. All right.
Okay, so I didn't miss anything under her presentation on this,
No,
right? The update had nothing to do with it. Okay.
no, we're just doing the pay piece tonight just for the budgetary reasons, but the actual review will just be stated in the next one. Okay, and then I think we just started, and to Mary's point, we were talking about compensation analysis. So where are we with that?
So that's my summer school, that's my summer project, basically, is to get this. I really think.
You're talking about classification?
Yes.
All right, that wasn't going to be my comment. Can I just say?
Okay.
I'm just kind of surprised that already we're reclassifying positions because we just, I don't know, Mary's on it, the board, you weren't, but we just did this relatively not that long ago. Hold on, under Jeff Bridges. It took well over a year and it was, gosh, $30,000? I forgot the amount, but that sticks in my head for some reason.
Yep.
So when you say you're gonna go do a new one, I'm not necessarily, I just state for the record, on board with re-looking at that only a few years later. Because that had been culminating for several years. And there was a debate, do we have our PA do it? Do we hire professional service? And we opted for the professional service. They interviewed all department heads, all staff, reviewed things like job descriptions, so I'm kind of surprised it hadn't been revised since 2017. But I'm not really, I really need to be convinced as to why, because they did a very thorough job. Department heads had an opportunity at that point to say, hey, our staff was not really, you didn't look at this, this, and this, because I think I had comments about the town accountant, because I believed it was too low a grade. They changed that. And there were a few positions that I didn't think and there was feedback, there was back and forth before we arrived at the final one. Am I correct, Mary, so far in my summary? So I don't know why we're already doing it again. And to just be told, well, it needs to be done, I mean, that's not gonna
Yeah,
win
no, I'm happy to tell you, I would rather not, because it's on me. I've already brought this to the board in the past, I don't know, I have to look back in the minutes, but I have brought this to you.
About
as a-
reclassifying
yes,
everybody?
Yes, that I was going to do it, there was a discussion as to who was gonna do it. I do not want to bring in an outside body, that is absolutely a waste of our money, because we have the foundation from the last one.
It's more than a foundation, they said it was gonna last
No,
years.
it's not, they're wrong. The
Wow.
classification studies last 5 to 8 years. It's 6 years old, and it hit COVID. And I can tell you what happened was that during COVID, all bets were off as to what skill sets, where things were prioritized, how pay grades were established. Since I've been here, just since I've been here, and prior to my being here, that study doesn't even line up with where everybody is anymore. It's been
I don't think that was
modified.
COVID, well, I mean, we could have,
But-
I don't think they
If you don't
were.
want me to do it, go to the.
No, I'm not saying I don't want to. I don't know how the rest of the
So-
board feels. I just know I was sitting here and I thought they did a very professional and thorough job, and I didn't think it was COVID motivated.
It was
in
before
terms of-
COVID. No, it was done before COVID.
Right, and I'm just not seeing how COVID affected like job descriptions
When we
after
asked.
COVID is over, after the pandemic's over.
When we brought, because certain skill sets became more in demand, it became much harder to keep employees. We found that there were distinctions on professional levels. We have people, I mean, we've already adjusted since I've been here, probably 7 or 8 positions. And so clearly it wasn't as, these are not exact. A lot of what was not taken into consideration, there was comparisons to private sector. Private sector and public sector salaries have shifted. I can tell you, though, that the aging of classification studies is about 5 to 8 years, and this is 6 years old. So it's not, unfortunately,
Well, since
I
it's
don't
5 to
think there
8,
were.
it's right in the middle, right?
Well,
It's 5 to 8.
I will take this, I'm happy to leave it alone.
Let's just.
And I'm not gonna
sim-
flip,
sim-
I'm-
No, let's just simplify all this. Mary's saying we paid a lot of money to put a structure in place that should, remain and still be informing what's going on right now, is why I didn't do it then. And I'm adding that last time. And then and your point is classification structures age, and there's certain things within ours that need to be addressed. So before we do an entire reboot on it and you spend a ton of time on it, why don't we come up with an articulation of what you think needs to be done and then why before you spend a ton of time.
Absolutely, and
Does
so.
that make sense, Mary?
That I would appreciate, because, I mean, it was done the year before Jeff left, right?
2019 it was done.
2019, and when did you come? Okay, so 3 years before. Okay, yeah, I guess maybe,
I will say this, it's not just about that classification study. The other things it's about is going forward, we cannot sustain the number of grades we have and 12 steps in almost all those
Let's
grades.
work on,
So-
we're not gonna do that right this
Oh, okay.
Let's just, we understand that this is, we have other business to get to tonight. And we don't have a full board, so let's get organized on what
I'll put
what
something
needs to
together
be
for you.
done and.
I'll put something together for the board to sort of understand the broader picture that I'm looking at with this.
That'd be
But I'm not, I will say this, I'm not looking to spend money, I'm looking to take what's there. and
Well,
work on
let's
it.
not get ahead of what we're,
Yeah.
we're in
Yeah.
diagnosis, we don't need to,
Okay.
you know, my stomach hurts, so you don't have to tell me you're not giving me surgery. You know what I mean?
I have one little business.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have a date, are we talking about a date to attend a Tantascwa School Committee?
They
Oh,
are,
yeah, this you did. You
yeah,
missed
they,
it.
Oh, good.
they reached out, it is not yet at the board level, they reached out and asked me to attend a meeting with member of the school committee and staff. I got a letter from Deb Boyd, I'll send you the email, I can share with you the email. Basically saying she sent out an email saying her office and the high school have received a few inquiries recently from community members and municipal representatives regarding Tantascwa use. Community use of school fields is always a challenge, with the priority being student use. However, it is more complicated with 5 towns. School committee chair Mike Valenzola asked me, meaning Deb, to try to schedule a meeting with representatives from each of the 5 towns to discuss the complexities and protocols. The hope is we can share information. All that being said, we're hoping to have a summer meeting with any of you interested. Now, this did come to me. Obviously, if a member of the board wants to come, or you want to ask a member of the board to come, you certainly can. But right now, it's along with Mike. She has the vice chair, Bill Haggerty, high school principal, and director of business ready to attend. And then she just asked if I'm the best person, and she sent this to a few people to represent initially. My thought is I can go initially, sort of feel out what's going on and report back to you, and then if at that point you are not comfortable with what is coming back, or you want more information directly from them, then we might bring them in after that. So the meeting, there are 2 dates, July 9th or August 6th. I asked for the July 9th date. We'll see where that goes.
Makes sense, Mary?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you did this, I think it was June 23rd, Babes is doing the beautification on the spots, and I am in touch with Adopt a Spot for DOT.
And they told us to go.
Later than I
pound.
want.
Yeah, I'm glad it's getting done, but June 23rd, when we appropriated the money and ARPA came up with a large sum, June 23rd, I think most people's Most people who garden and have landscaping, they've done it long before June 23rd. And I'm disappointed that it's as late as it's going to be.
Well, we have the landscaping done. Not done yet.
Yeah, well, I know, but.
Just because Charlie's lazy.
Should we get the shovel in his hand soon?
Yeah, it's like, you better be at home doing it right now.
How's that gonna work?
Couldn't bend over.
Is he are they doing X amount for a certain amount of money each season?
No, these are
or-
trees, these are permanent, these are long-term beautification. These are
Okay.
tree plantings and whatnot. That's why the timing wasn't as critical as if they were like.
So is it gonna be
seasonal
done
flowers.
all at once and one big bill as
I
opposed
believe so,
to?
yes, it was contracted as one large bill as a true beautification project, not like annual plantings.
And so did they give you a contract of
Yes.
what they're going to?
Yes.
Okay, I'd
And
just
Joe
like to look
Cohn
at
has
it.
been
Okay.
Joe Cohn has been the advisor on that for me, and he's pretty reliable. Joe's been really good for us.
So he's told you how many shrubs they're
Yes.
going to
Joe
install for
Cohn
X
is
amount?
Yes,
Oh.
and the little tree drawings and.
Awesome, okay, thank you.
Okay, do you have any old business?
Nope.
Any old business, Mary Lou? All right, I had no other old business. New business, Mary Lou? New business, Mary?
Are we gonna do a retreat this year?
Usually you do them in March, February, March.
I know, we
usually
usually, we wanted to do the review first. I think everybody wanted to do the review before we had our retreat, but that helps set the goals for the coming year. So, I mean, I would be in favor of doing it at some point, right? Because otherwise, she's working off all old goals.
Yeah, I think so. I think, let's wait to see when Chase is,
Yeah.
we are a full board, so we can schedule it. All right, Mary Blanchard, any new business?
No?
All right, correspondence, I don't think there was any. All right, minutes, and then we'll go to our executive session. We are looking up at that. The December 4th, 2023 minutes. Any edits?
Nope.
All right.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes of December 4th, 2023 as written.
Second.
All those in favor? Great. Moving to the December 18th, 2023 minutes. Any edits? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the December 18, 2023 Board of Selectmen's meeting as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great. Moving to the May 20th, 2024 meeting. Any edits? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 20th, 2024 meeting minutes. Say that 3 times fast.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? I abstain. Actually, I have to abstain. I was absent. The June 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes.
I just have a quick question on, I'll believe everybody if you tell me it's the truth, but May 20th, did I distribute all the dock regulations to fellow board members? I did? Oh, I think I did it right during the meeting. I think I brought them up. Did I?
I have no idea
I
what was in there.
Yeah, I know, I don't remember. I remember saying that we have dock regulations, but did I forward them? I might have. Francis, is that what you remember that I did in May?
You shared, dock regulations?
I think I might have pulled them up during the meeting and forwarded them.
I think you did.
Technically speaking, you did, so you just voted to approve them.
Yeah, I think I did, but when I looked at, I was like, did I do that? I didn't have a.
You might have pulled them
recollection.
up, because we were talking about it that night.
I think I did.
you
Okay, I'm
pulled
happy
them
with
up.
my vote. I think I did.
Okay.
I'm almost positive.
Okay.
All right, going to the June 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any edits?
For me,
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the June 2nd, 2025 Board of Selectmen meetings as written.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Great. All right, citizens forum. And then executive session, so do we have a motion to go into executive session without adjourning? I move to adjourn. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'll read it, hold on, sorry. I move to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21.3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and not to reconvene in open session.
So declared. Mary Lou, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary Donna?
Yes.
Mary
And I
Lou?
vote yes.
And I vote yes as well. We're now in executive session.